Hello everybody, Haku here with my review for Magical Girl Raising Project or Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku Limited Part 2. Sorry for the long wait for this one. I've been trying to get time to finally make this video. Sorry for the wait, but hopefully shouldn't be too much longer until we're finally caught up and can do read-throughs again. Again, I'm sorry for the wait. I'm sorry for really slacking when it comes to giving back to MGRP fans, because you have always been really amazing, and I'm trying my best to reread this series, review it as I'm rereading. But when we get finally back to Queens, we can finally do reactions again. But let's talk about Limited. That's what we're here for. I think Part 2 is both A, a lot better than Part 1, and B, a lot better than I remember it when I first did my reactions. So when I first did my reactions, my general overall opinion was almost every arc, almost every volume of this series is amazing. In fact, with Restart being probably my favorite light novel series that I've ever read. Restart was so good. But my opinion on Limited specifically was that Limited, where everything else is like 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 for the most part, Limited's like a 7 out of 10 with an absolutely awful ending. It's like 7 out of 10 until the ending, and the ending's bad. It's mid, and then it's bad. That was my original opinion. Now going back, I think it is much better than I thought it was, but I do still think it's probably my least favorite arc. And that's not to say that it's bad, that's just to say that the bar elsewhere is so high. I said that Restart is one of my favorites I've ever read. I absolutely adored Jokers. I really liked Aces a lot, especially some parts of it. I think Unmarked is incredible. Unmarked is a really good volume to start things off with. I think a lot of people read or watch Unmarked and get the wrong idea about the series, but even then, I think Unmarked itself is just so good, especially after my recent reread of this series. But Limited's good. It's good. It's not the best though, and it just suffers when compared to the others. It's just not quite as good. But I do think Part 2 is way better than Part 1. Something I said in Part 1 was that we're jumping from group to group, and we as readers know what this group's going through, what that group's going through, and it's kind of frustrating because they're all fighting each other and there's no real conflict. There's no like true conflict. There's no antagonist set forth to guide the story. So the conflicts are just mostly happening because of the things that the characters are going through. And that doesn't necessarily make for a bad story, but it feels like in hindsight, Part 1 was a lot more aimless than Part 2, where Part 2, having Pithy's group, having Pukin's group, whichever you want to call them, come in to serve as antagonists, having Rainbow like expose herself. Again, spoilers if you haven't read, I guess, sorry. This is, again, you've already seen me read through this stuff. I'm coming through this assuming that you all have actually read the novels, especially if you're on the 6th one here with me. But having, again, Rainbow sort of be all out as an antagonist. Having these antagonistic forces helps it so much. And especially, I think the beginning parts are good. I think the fights towards the middle are like really good. Some of the fights we got there, the Malpam fights were incredible. Some of the Rainbow stuff was very good. And another criticism I had when I first did my reaction series and first watched was that I thought Hana's death was really dumb. Because here's the thing, Hana is there, and we have her like in an alleyway injured, and then Pukin's running away. Pukin's running for her life. She's terrified. She's like bleeding. She's like, I'm about to die. Hana jumps out in front of her. Stop. No, don't. And just gets murdered. And I'm like, well, that's a dumb way to die. Because Hana's like, oh, I need to protect, I need to protect the other two. What is it? Nanako-san and Mana are there. And she's like, I need to protect them. But Pukin's not going after them. Pukin never tries to go after them. Pukin, we have that evidence because Pukin just kills her and continues running away, which is what she was doing, running away. And I was like, that's really really kind of dumb. And I don't know if it's an issue because when I reacted, I was reading the scans or the fan translation, whereas now I'm reading the official translation for the novel. I don't know if it's a difference in that or if it's just a difference in, me being dumb and me now having a different perspective of it. But here, I thought it was made much clearer that it's still kind of dumb. It's still, not incredible in the sense that, yeah, Hana is still jumping out in front of Pukin and getting herself killed and achieving nothing for it because Pukin wasn't really trying to kill them to begin with at the moment. So she is kind of still dying for nothing, and it would have helped a lot to have her around for the finale. But I think what makes it different here is that there's greater context, as in she thought that Pukin was running from Ripple. She thought that Ripple was going to be right there. She thought she had backup. She didn't think she was just, jumping out in front of Pukin alone or whatever. She thought that there was more context surrounding it. So it's a lot less dumb now, in my opinion. She still kind of dies for nothing, but I think that you can see why she did what she did a lot better now after rereading, or rather I can see why she did what she did a lot better now after rereading. So I think that death is a lot less bad now that I've reread. I've kind of skimmed over some of the earlier parts with with the Captain Grace stuff. I've never really been huge into Captain Grace. Even after reading this, I really like Funny Trick, but even then Captain Grace, I'm like, I don't really care that much about Captain Grace. So there is that. I kind of skimmed over that. I said all the fights were good, all the stuff with, Sonya Bean and Mapam, which led into Mapam versus Pukin and Rainbow jumping in. Pithy was involved in all that. All that was really, really, really good stuff. And really it turned into kind of Rainbow versus Pukin. All of that's incredible. That stuff is that middle bit is really good. That's up there with some of the other arcs where I'm the other arcs are incredible to me. That's up there. That is also incredible to me. But then we get to the ending. And I don't think the ending is as bad as my original reaction, but I do still think it's not good. I still think the ending's kind of bad. I still don't like the ending. I think that the idea they went for was a good idea, and having the bad guys kind of take a lot, or the good guys kind of take a lot of losses, have it kind of like a dramatic bad guys mostly win kind of arc. But the execution wasn't that good. The last line that Tepsukeme delivers, where Tepsukeme's why am I crying when I've never been taught to cry? That is so good. That's really, really good. But the way we get to that line is less good because, again, I get what they were going with the Pukin and Rainbow finale, but it just wasn't executed very well. It kind of felt like they were just oh yeah, and then they do this, and then this happens, and I don't know, it's for characters that I thought were good, I thought Rainbow and Wedden were good. It just seems like a letdown ending, and it's not that it wasn't, hinted at before. We know what was going to happen. We know what the idea was, but even then, it's just, I don't know, it just feels underwhelming. It's a really underwhelming ending, and the other part isn't great either. I think that Funny Trick and Kuru-kuru Hime, if you were going to have all these characters survive, you should have just had them survive too. I think that it was dumb to kill off Kuru-kuru Hime and Funny Trick. I think they probably should have survived, and it's kind of silly to kill them off and then have Nanako do the stuff she did, because there's this moment where Pukin has half her head blown off. She is messed up, and she is still killing killing characters like Kuru-kuru Hime and Funny Trick at a distance. And after we're going through all this crazy stuff, even though she is so injured, she's doing this crazy stuff at a distance. We have the scene where Nanako-san just jumps on her and grabs onto her and holds her still. And it's what? Well, so Nanako-san, who isn't even a combat magical girl, and they say that again and again, she's not a combat magical girl. I don't mind her doing this. It's a good scene. It's her saying, I'm not a combat magical girl, but I'm going to risk my life. I'm going to try to do this. But how? how can Pukin just stand there and get grabbed by her, who doesn't have much physical ability? Meanwhile, she is able to, like, mega John Wick Matrix these other characters who, like, are fighting her at a distance just before then, and yet she's like, oh no, I've gotten grabbed, nothing I can do about this. And I don't know, that just seemed so silly. And there is still the problem, I don't think it was as egregious. For me, when I first read, I kind of, maybe it's because I read over time when first reacting, and then I just kind of read this at my own leisure when reading here. But before, I was like, it just felt like time after time, we were having Mana going, oh, I have this magical doping that I can pull out and get super strong. Oh, I have this. And then she uses it and does absolutely nothing. But this time, it feels like she brought that up less. I mean, she still used it and did absolutely nothing, but she brought it up less, I feel like, on my reread. Maybe I just noticed it less, but she was a couple times like, oh, this is going to be dangerous, but I have to use it. It's going to risk my life, but I have to OD on the magic steroids and go for this final battle and everything. And then she still does, she does nothing. And I like Mana. I'm not trying to shit on the character, but I think the ending is still kind of a mess. Because again, this has been hyped up, and then she uses it and she just doesn't do anything. It lasts like 15 seconds. Maybe they should have made it last longer. It lasts like 15 seconds and she doesn't do anything. So yeah, I think the Pukin fight at the end is an absolute mess. So again, still a weak ending. My opinion has changed where I think it's much better than part one, which I mean, I guess I maybe always thought that. I kind of just lump all of Limited together. But I think that Limited is a lot better than I thought it was before. But despite the fact that I think it's a lot better than it was before, and I don't think the ending's as bad as I thought it was before, I do still kind of think the ending's bad. I still think the last probably like 20 pages or so is just not very good. I think they got to the ending and they had all these characters and stuff set up, and then they maybe didn't know how to finish it out to get the results they wanted. Maybe they were like, okay, I know I want this character, this character, this character dead. We want Ripple ending up with Pithy. We want this and that. But they didn't know how to get there. And they just sort of kind of threw together what they could to make those results happen. But yeah, the ending once again, and they wanted to have that killer line by Tepsukeme, which is again an incredible line, but I don't know, the ending still to me doesn't hold up. I know people disagree, so I'm sorry if you're upset that I'm shit-talking a series that I and you love, but I do think Limited's the weakest arc, and to me, the ending's a solid reason because of that. The kind of dullness of part one and the ending not being good are a part of that, but other than the ending, part two I think was pretty great. I think it was like really, really solid. I think it stands up there with the other volumes. Except for the ending. But either way, that's it. Enough rambling. Thank you for watching. Like if you like the video. Comment down there. Tell me what you thought of this volume, what you thought of my thoughts and review and everything. Next up, I'll be doing Jokers. I got it over on the bookshelf, and I'll be reading that. I'll review that. And then I guess we have Aces and... Well, we have Aces, we have another episodes, and we have... Then we have Peaceful Days, and I'll do reviews for those. Again, sorry, hopefully it won't be like another year or something, but I guess I can't make promises because I have so many other things. But once we do all that and we're back to Queens, I don't know if I'll like re-react to the parts of Queens I already read. It's been long enough that I really don't remember it that well, but yeah, we'll be doing Queens. So we have all that done, and I guess that's about it. So when we get to the reactions again, what do you think I should do? Because I have like the physical volumes right here officially, like bookshelf off screen. Let me again, what do we have here? Yeah, we have the volumes there. So there is that. So it's like, should I'm gonna buy them to do the reviews, but when we do reactions, it would feel weird to sit and read it out of a book rather than read on PC. let me know if you know a good place to read the fan translations, and I'll do the fan translations for the reactions and then read the physical version and then do a review once I've read the physical version. Maybe we'll do that. Let me know if you got a good place for me to read the fan translations. But either way, that's it. Like, comment, subscribe, follow on Twitter if you want. If you want a link to the Discord server, ask and I can give you a link. It's free and open for anyone. We can talk there. If you would like to support the channel, drop a super thanks down below. If you want to drop a super thanks down below, or if you want to get One Piece videos early and you want to get a shout out at the end of every video in addition to help me continue to make videos, it's patreon.com/Haku of the Tubes, or a link will be in the description. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to people who are patrons and members. Thank you to Chosen Regular Evan Holly, Magical Girls, Everno No One, The Best Night, Cheriton Students, David Langstaff and Folded Ghoul, Slayer Candidates, SG and Stan Cedar, and Pure Element Pati Arty Owl. Thank you all so much for watching. And yeah, I guess that's it. Thank you, and I'll see you all next time.